We're working on a Ram ProMaster City today. I'm going to be adding some power USB ports to the front here. So if you have one of these, there's a 12 volt constant and a 12 volt key on in the middle of the console there. So I started on this already. I pulled a couple screws out. I figure I'm not going to make you watch me take every single screw out of here. I can just show you where they are and then you can take them out. First thing I did is take the screws out of the console. There are 3 screws in here. There's one there. There's one in the middle, which is kind of hard to get to. And then there's one in the very back. So 3 on each side of the console. Take those 3 screws out first. I may actually take the seat out of here just to make it a little bit easier for me, but I don't know. Once I pull this up, I'll be able to see what's underneath there and I can tell you whether I'm going to pull the seat out or not. If you're going to pull the seat, you've only got 3 wiring harnesses under there. And there's 4 Torx bolts and the seat falls out. So I did decide I want to remove the seat. So basically, I'm going to push in on this tab and unplug the wiring harnesses. Seat in the middle. 2, 3. So my seat's unplugged. I'm going to take. So this is a T40 Torx head. I'm going to start with the back one towards the center console. There's one. The next one's going to be right behind the seat here. Probably have to slide the seat forward. Just a second to roll the seat up. Okay. 2. Make sure you're pushing down firmly on those. And if you're using a lesser expensive impact socket or a lesser expensive tool, make sure you keep it in there good. You don't want to strip those out for sure. So back in the front, I've got 2 bolts left. I'm probably going to have to use a ratchet on that one over there. Don't think I can get to it with an impact, but 1. And let's see if I can get in there. Just enough room. Okay, there's that. So with the seat out, I'm going to lift up on this slow because I'm not sure what's underneath it. There's a snap up here on your emergency brake. Loosen that so your shifter boot will slide. I'm going to lift up. I know you've got to pull back on this. So once you lift the back up a little bit, wiggle it back because in the front here there's 2 tabs. Here and at the bottom. So you've got to actually slide this into that so this goes back. And when we lift up, I'm not sure what we're connected with, if anything, besides just the shifter itself or the emergency brake. So it looks like I've got plenty of room under here to get to what I want. So what I want are these 2 harnesses going up to the lighters. So basically what I want to do is I want to tap into the hot and the ground and not the key on. So I'm going to probe these and figure out which one's the hot, which one's are ground. I might just Google real quick and see if I can find a harness online, but most likely I'm not going to. So I'm going to pull this tape back so I can get to the harness. I'm going to unplug them and I'm just going to probe the connectors on the ends. Okay, now I've got my wire connections where I can get to them. I'm just going to probe the ends because I can see the metal in there, so I know I can just reach in and probe them. One of these is going to be constant and one of them is going to be key on. So I've got 12 volts here, so I know for a fact this harness is my 12 volt positive all the time. I'm going to probe the other one just to make sure. This one should not get any juice at all. So that one's dead. My key's on now. I probe, now I got 12 volts here. I'm going to leave my ground in. And I've also got 12 volts on the yellow now. So I know for a fact my yellow is key on also. So in a way I could just pull the key on and the hot off of one leg. I'm going to keep them both separate, and I'm just going to tap off of both of them. Alright, so I've cut me a couple leads here. I've got a red and black, well, 2 reds, 2 blacks. I've got enough to lead me all the way to the front of the vehicle, so I'm not sure where I'm going to go. Now again, before somebody says something, I know you can get a ground from up front somewhere. So technically you can pull a ground off the frame, off the battery. You can get another ground up front somewhere. So you don't have to tap into your ground here. Again, I'm going to do that just to keep. Alright, so I'm going to slide this connector with my wire pushed in all the way over top of my hot wire. And I can see it's all the way back in there. So it's sat in place. And I'm just going to take this with a pair of pliers and close it shut. And when I do that, it's going to pierce the 2 wires and actually make us a little jumper wire off of it. So if I take my voltmeter, if I can find my probe, probe my hot, find any chassis ground, I got voltage. Okay, so I've pulled my ground off of my constant. So there's my constant, my ground, and my key on up here. Okay, so for a little added security, I taped up the end of the wire, even though I cut it off. That way when I'm pulling up through the frame, I don't hit anything. My ground wire, I'm going to tape back into this so I know where my ground is. If you have a label maker, you could actually label these up front. I'm going to tag them with a color coding. I've got some phasing tape, so I'm just going to put a piece of tape on there, and that way I know which one's which. Okay, in the front here, again, this piece is solid that comes down off of the console. This piece back here comes out though. So if you can get a hold of it, you can use a body tool if you have to, but this one is pretty easy. Just get your finger under there, pull out toward the front, and it feels like it's going to break, but it's not. It pops out. Don't pull to the back, because there's actually a tab right there that slides up into that groove. So you're pulling the front out, and then you're pulling towards you to get it out of there. So that piece is off there now. So I'm just going to take this wire, feed it up under here, feed it behind here, and pull it out through here. Doing this, make sure you avoid any obstructions. Make sure there's no cables in the way, no other things. And if you can follow the factory harness, normally if you can follow the factory harnessing, they're out of the way of anything anyhow. So make sure I've got a clear path. Pull my slack out of here. I'm gonna tuck this back under. And make sure that's tucked up in there where it was. There's my slack. So, and now I'm ready to put this piece back in. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna probably take 2 hands to do this, but basically if I lift up on the back a little bit, again I want to line this tab up right there. I don't know if I can do it one-handed or not. There we go. And slides up in there like that. And I gotta check the other side because the other side's probably out. I'm gonna put my 3 screws back in here, put my 3 screws on the other side, because our wires are up here now. That's all we needed for underneath there. Basically just threads in from behind, so I can put it in any piece of body work I want. It's got a dual USB charger underneath of it, and it's got a USB-C in it. Alright, I'm going to show you how to get the glove box out of this ProMaster. Sometimes you can squeeze in and get the glove boxes out. Some of them you got to drop the frame. This one's actually pretty simple. If you look in there, there's a black tab there, and on the other side behind my mask there's another black tab. Basically all you want to do, if you got good fingers, let me see if I can get my finger in there without blocking the camera. If you push in on that tab, push in on that tab, this latch will actually come out of the inside. That releases that side. You want to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so after I drop my glove box, I can get my hand up in here and I can feel around. So I was thinking directly in the back here at first, but my plug's a little bit too deep for that. So I got looking on the inside edge here. I can get my hand up in there. There's nothing in the way back here, so I can feel the vent, so I'm not going to hit the vent tube. If I go down below or down low at the bottom, I'm going to take my plug and I'm going to put it up in there from the inside and make sure it doesn't hit anything. So I've got my finger between anything behind it. It's flush like it would be sitting in there, so I know for a fact I can drill through that now without having to worry about hitting anything in back of it and shorten something out. So the next thing is drilling a hole in your dashboard. So to drill a hole in the dashboard, I'm going to use a step bit. Now before I just go gung-ho and blast that through and have the wrong size hole, you only get one shot at this. And again, do this at your own risk. If you go through too far, you're going to have a big hole in your dashboard, and the only part in mine is it's the entire dashboard. So if I screw it up, I'm going to have to replace the dashboard. Hold that up temporarily. I'm going to leave my key on down below for now. So again, green wire is my key on. I'm just going to push this up behind here. There's a couple factory wires already going up here. I'll push this down here, reach up in the glove box, and pull it up through the glove box. Okay, once I'm in the glove box, I can feel back here. There's nothing in the way. I'm not laying up against anything hot. I got it behind my panels. There's a piece of metal right there, so I'm going to go around that piece of metal. I don't want to create any chafing points. Once I get to this point, now I can get up in here and right out through where my connector is going to go. With that, I'm ready to put this on. It is tagged positive and negative, so make sure you don't reverse the polarity on it. Rubber flap is up to you. I'm going to keep mine on there just because. If you don't want the rubber flap on there, take it off now, or I guess you can tear it off later, but you can slide it off right now easy. So I'm going to do positive is silver, which is kind of opposite of usually in the US. Normally copper is hot, so make sure you actually look at the connections. Again, I could do the key on up here if I wanted to instead of that one, but I want to charge my phone, so I want it constant hot. So for now, I can at least put everything back together. I don't really need to get into anything besides drop the glove box again to get back up into there, change that out. So I'm going to go ahead and lift my glove box up. Alright, so when you're going to pick your glove box back up, pick it back up, go past the stopping point. Line up your little pins on the inside here. I know it's hard to see with the light. Once you push those in place, you'll see it come to the other side. You click it in. So, and then your glove box catches that side. And I think we get a better shot at this side over here. Where my clip drop to. And again, these clips are just going to catch the inside of those little tabs there. So I'm going to put my stop facing this way. I'm going to lift the box up a little bit more and just click it past the stops. Just no way of doing this without blocking the camera view. Either way, push that in, snap it in place. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bottom panel back on. I'm going to take my key on wire for now, and I'm just going to tuck it because this is easy to get to. There's plenty of space there. There's nothing that moves in there. Put my key on wire. I'll tuck it, and again, this is going to be hot when it's keyed on, so make sure your end's not touching anything or you tape it off. I'm just going to wrap mine around this wire here. It's not going to go anywhere. Like so. Make sure my other lines are out of the way. Here's my clamp or my clip where the side cover goes back in, one up above it. So the clip, and again, remember when you're putting this back in, it goes back in the hole first. You can see, connects into that piece back there and slides in. So the piece back there. I'm not sure how good the camera angle is. I'm trying here. Back in through that. Like so. And then your clip should line up here. And that piece is back on. Alright, so I got the floorboard cleaned up. I got all the pieces of wire cleaned up. I got my panels back in. I got my screws back in. I got my charger in place. So all that's left is put the seat back in. Okay, my seat's back in. That was simple, just drop it on top, 4 bolts. Plug my wiring harnesses in back underneath. So that's all for this video. Again, that was how to add a extra USB power supply or USB port, cigarette lighter, any type of accessory coming off of the metal console there.